Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg and it's the 18th day of July 2025 and welcome to our show today. You know, we're going back to a friend episode here, which is really my favorite, to talk to my buddies here and people that are on with me over and over again. And we've had to take a little bit of a break because I've been a little bit busy. Yesterday I spent the whole day with my legal friends, and we are working on the cases that I have filed in the Michigan Court of Claims, which is a lot of fun right now. And guess what? We're winning. And so it's a happy day today, and I just want to invite everybody in, and we're going to be talking about off the grid stuff, preparedness, and whatever else comes up on this Friday. So this is just going to be a fun time packed with information, news, and views. Morning, guys. How y'all doing?
Hey.
Good morning.
This is off the rails.
This is off the rails. That's what it is. I should change the name. So at any rate, am I like the only one without an avatar or with an avatar today? There you go.
There you go.
I have friends, actual real friends. So anyhow, it's good to see you guys. You know, I really missed you. I kind of needed a little bit of a break on Fridays because I was starting to experience a little bit of burnout from all the traveling I've been doing from working on the Constitution Party. I'm the chairman of the Constitution Party, and I really have been working pretty hard on that because honestly, I think we need to seat every single seat in the Michigan that's coming up for elections, okay? Because the Republican Party is just crap, total and absolute crap right now. And I've been kind of like ranting about that the last few days, so I'll give it a rest here for a little bit. But we really need to seat every position in the state of Michigan because we don't have representation at all. And I'm not seeing anybody who isn't treating this as allegiance to the parties, criminal organizations, instead of having allegiance to we the people. So anybody who wants to stand on truth, representing we the people without self-gain or self-enrichment, I think we need to talk because it's getting worse by the day, actually, and I'm actually being able to see that. But we have a lot of stuff happening. Yesterday, actually, there were some notifications going out to some of my special forces friends that talked about clear and imminent threats that are out there. If anybody's been paying attention to this and some of the stuff that's coming out of the Middle East, basically swearing that every single American better run for the hills because hell is going to descend on us kind of posts. I think this is the time, and a beautiful time, to talk about preparedness, not just in the physical sense, but in our spiritual sense, because that's probably the biggest problem right now. People professing to have faith in God, but yet putting their faith in everything material instead of trusting him to provide but doing our part, right? So anyhow, jump in as you feel led here, guys. This is just going to be whatever we want to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
I think one of the we got 5 people to jump in.
Take turns. Go ahead, Shawn.
So yeah, one of the big things I'm seeing on X right now, I'm starting to see a big shift in people coming to Christ. This is something that I'm really happy to see. But we're kind of it goes like this. Our government has been so corrupt for so long that it makes sense when you think about it like this way. In my book, I talked about the 8 stages to the rise and fall of every civilization, and one of the big things is at the apex of the government, when it gets so big, it starts infringing upon people's rights. Well, what's going to happen is the government is going to no longer fear the people. And when they no longer fear the people, they start bringing in this invasion that we saw the last 4 years in the Biden administration. And one of the big things is none of them are vetted. Okay. And we know that a lot of them are coming from Islamic communities with the purpose, and their only sole purpose is to conquer the known world. This is a religious ideology that's been around since 586 AD, where their whole agenda is to basically take over the world and run it. And we're in this position right now where we've got so many Islamic people here in the United States. This is something that Americans need to understand the level of threat. I was talking with Sarah Adams, who worked for the CIA, and one of the big things that she mentioned is that Donald Trump's, I guess, his relationship, or I don't want to say relationship, but his connections with the new Syrian leader, who this is a guy that was behind a lot of the Benghazi organization, the attack on our soldiers and our people, like Ambassador Stevens at Benghazi. This is the mastermind behind it, and now he's like the president of Syria, and it's just. And she was warning him. She's like, "Hey, don't do this. Don't go down this road. This is not somebody you want to ally with." And the thing is that politicians don't seem to understand that when you are letting all these people in, especially from the Islamic communities around the world, they're not here to assimilate. Now, if you had like 5 or 10 people coming over here through the port of entry, through legal means, and they worked for the citizenship, and they're assimilating. But when you invite 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 of them at a time, well, guess what's going to happen? They're not here to assimilate. They're here to take over.
Karen?
Well, he sounds like he's dooming. But see, what I wanted to say was, I've been looking at this thing as if it's a show. I think a lot of it is. A lot of it is there are things going on behind the scenes that we will never know, or we can't know now, in order to keep us safe. I do believe there's a plan. Now, I don't think the plan is written in stone. I think it's adaptable. And we don't know what the plan is. So we're just kind of along for the ride. We don't know what our role is, but I think we do have a role as a people. So those roles as individuals vary, but as a people, we need to be educating ourselves and getting involved. That's the basic plan for us. But when we can see what's happening in the show, you see it as a narrative war, a psychological war more than anything. That is, it's not just for us, it's for the good guys and the bad guys. Everybody's got a narrative war going on. But if you see it as that and constantly imagine that, or look at the world as if anything that's happening is in the reality sphere, what you're being told is told to you in order to sway you in a specific direction. So whatever you're being told, assume it's wrong. Just assume that every single topic on the news is a lie. Whether it's there was a couple of kids here in Muskegon that drowned recently. Well, are they going to tell you everything about the stories? No, I know. I've been around first responders for a while, and they're not going to tell you everything. So there's false stories even in simple things like that. But when you hear Trump is a really good example. Trump is a master manipulator in his posts, in the quotes that he makes live. He makes these flippant comments.
He baits people.
He's baiting. He is triggering. He is very good at getting people to respond in the way he wants them to respond. He knows that he's got MAGA, and that's not really changing. People can get mad at him, like about the Epstein thing. People are mad because he's talking about it being boring, but are you triggered to think about why he's saying that? Instead of being all emotional and going, Trump is flipped on us. Trump doesn't care about the children. He has done more for trafficking and human trafficking to prevent all of that than any other president probably since the beginning of the United States. And we were definitely human trafficking when the state started. So he's done a lot. And if you think about it from that perspective, you think Epstein was one of the big chains in that? You know, he's piddly. Maybe Trump is saying this is boring because he wants you to realize that human trafficking is a bigger thing.
You know what?
Maybe he's just trying to trigger the left. I mean, there's lots of narratives there, but don't get emotional about it is what I'm trying to say.
You know what I see? I see vetting and seeing how people are, you know, if you're gonna look at what you really have to work with as a leader, you're not going to ask people straight up questions because they're going to craft the narrative that they want you to know. So to see what people's real personalities are and to see how they think, whether they're in it for the long game, whether they're in it for themselves for self-enrichment, which is very rampant, whether they're in it for, say, like if they're weak. So when yesterday I was talking to somebody else who's pretty high ranking, and we had a wonderful discussion about how many people in our government are actually blackmailed. And there was absolutely concrete stories that I was listening to on how they blackmailed the people that step up. So you have a controlled situation. Even if a good person steps up with good intentions, they're going to try one of two ways to compromise them. The first thing is going to be the easy way: take the money, and they'll get you in that. And now they've got something hanging over your head until the end of time here, because they can say, okay, this person committed a crime of patronage or whatever. And then all of a sudden that person, if they're going to do what they're told, or if they step out of line, they're going to jail. Okay. The other part is holding the things or the people they love hostage and saying, you do this or I'm going to kill somebody in your family, or you do this and we're going to do X, Y, Z to you. So they'll force them into a crime, or what happened on Epstein Island. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is innocent of this. Some people walk right in, a lot of them, knowing that they're going to walk away with a whole lot of money. But there's also good people that are caught up in this. And when I'm talking about that, talking about, you know, the Islamics and other subcategories, I think we got to be real careful in not having the distinction between people who are a military operation parading as an identity, taking on another identity, because they're chameleons. So, you know, I've had people come on here and go, you know, it's the Jews. And it's like, you know, David's Jewish, we're friends. And it's not a whole group of people. It is the global crime syndicate that uses everything we believe in to take us down. I'm friends with quite a few Arabs for Trump, people that were in Arabs for Trump. Wonderful people. And they're not jihadis. They're not out there, you know, trying to take over. But we've got to be able to discern what we're seeing. And I think a couple of days ago, which is really shocking, there were actually some gang members in Michigan that were arrested up in Traverse City. And that was a scary thing, and not a peep out of fake stream media. And that's mainstream media, including Fox, including all of these people who are influencers or tier 2 mainstream media on that are considered alt media. There's no clear cut thing, and it's on a interaction by interaction basis is how we have to think about this. Because if you see somebody's behavior change that you've known for a long time, guaranteed somebody's working on them. That can be your kids, that can be your friends, that can be pretty much anybody. Look for the consistent patterns. And when they break that, all of a sudden you see somebody that's starting to waver, or their behavior gets weird, or they start lying, or they spend a lot of time alone, or switch their allegiance to other groups, and all of a sudden they've got a whole new set of friends, start asking questions.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the show Billions?
I don't watch TV, so I'm like the worst
Yeah.
Trivial Pursuit player on the
Oh, it's
planet.
amazing. It's amazing what you can find watching Netflix and Apple and things like that, some of these shows, because they really spill it out, especially watching them today with what we know. But it's amazing how they set people up and how these things unfold. You know, like, unless you're a devious, really professionally devious person, you'd really never even think this way of how they do things. But the way I look at it is, I agree with Karen. It's a show, and in a serious one where people are probably getting killed and dying and that we don't know about. But Trump, if there was a group of people that knew what we know today, that all of our institutions were captured and people are blackmailed and there's extortion going on and child trafficking and all this stuff, and there was a small group of people that really knew it, how would they get the rest of the population to figure it out, the world population? And I think that's what they're doing. And, you know, it's just like they say, if they just came out and started arresting people and stuff, that we'd have like civil war chaos. They would think that Trump and a group of people just got together and took over the government. But if they wanted to change the world and get rid of all this stuff and start over again, they'd have to do it the way that's going on, slowly, without people knowing. They probably do control the news and they purposely don't report a lot of stuff. It probably started with 9/11. You know, there was a group of military that probably knew, and some people that probably knew what really happened. And you just look at this Epstein thing, it's like a playbook right out of that show Billions. You know, Trump says, there's nothing to look at there, knowing that the enemy is thinks that they put something in there that's going to implicate Trump, and they're clamoring for it. We want to see it. We want to see it. Even some Republicans that are not on our side, but all the Democrats, all the bad guys want it out. What did Trump do? I think last night he put out a truce saying, "Okay, we're going to give it all to them." So they asked for it, and that's better than if Trump just spilled it out and said, "Hey, look," and pointed fingers at people. So the Democrats asked for it, and now it's gonna go public, and it's gonna implicate certain people. And I think that we're on the edge now of these trials. You know, they're already, saying that they're investigating Comey and these people, and it's like a thread, and they're pulling it slowly, and it just appears like it's just a random thing. They're dismantling, the agencies. So when you mentioned, being extorted, Donna, some of these people being extorted or blackmailed and stuff. Can you imagine if that happened to you and then you went to the FBI and they don't do anything because they're part of it? Now I think it's changed. I think that, he's slowly dismantling. I think today is like a massive firing, right? Of not just the Department of Education, but the State Department and probably every agency. They're getting rid of the first layer of people. Like tens of thousands of people are getting laid off today. And we're watching a plan roll out. We're just not part of it, and we can't figure it out.
I think so, and I'd like Ralph to talk about this too, because we were talking about on Liberty Essentials on Wednesday how the conflict in the Civil War wasn't what they've been selling us. It's like everything else. They have to have an emotional hook to get people to jump into things, because it's boring. Law is kind of boring unless you're actually doing lawfare like I am right now. But why don't you talk to that a minute, Ralph, about the conflict?
I tend to think that's pretty significant in examining how much of our history is completely made up. because, we were always taught, oh, the Civil War was just about slavery. That's the one issue that they always talk about. And you start looking into it and realize, well, the South, when they signed the Confederate Constitution, actually took steps toward eliminating slavery under the emancipationist plan, not the abolitionist plan, but the emancipationist plan. They started taking steps to eliminate slavery before the North did. And I don't think that Lincoln would have signed the Emancipation Proclamation had he not been quite heavily pressured by Cassius Clay. And that's really when it kind of became something that they could propagandize into the conflict being about slavery only and not about being effectively the Federalists versus the Anti-Federalists extended into the 1800s. And there was a lot more to that conflict, but I that's why one of my biggest things for that is I think everyone should read through the Confederate Constitution and compare and contrast it with the current U.S. Constitution, because there's an awful lot of similarities, but the differences are really pretty striking. And then you start looking at how the dates line up on things, and it's like, wait a minute, this is completely different than what they've always told us. And the documents are there. And this is one of the reasons why I'm such an advocate for people personally preserving historical artifacts, not just having them locked up in museums, but preserving, old books, old papers, documenting things like that, because, well, even at the time that was propagandized, the closer you get to an event, the harder it is for them to have erased all traces of that event's actual history, and it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to go through and, pick up all of the 1885 dictionaries from everybody's houses and change the meaning of a word than it is to just go online and change it in, a wiki online, So there's got to be some preservation of our history, because without that, it's too easy to rewrite. But kind of to Karen and Dr. David's points too, I had a conversation earlier this week that was somebody saying that, boy, I don't see anybody now saying that they were the ones that put Trump in office, and now I hear people complaining that they're being impacted by the tariffs and such, and they didn't think that they were going to be, and now they're whining about it. And what I told what my thought on that when we were talking about it is, well, yeah, everything's fake right now. Our money's fake, the news is fake, our food is fake, the water's contaminated, the air's contaminated. Everybody's living in a fantasy world right now. We all need to share in some pain. That pain needs to be shared by everybody, not just by a few people, but by all of us equally, so that we can fix the darn thing, and get out of this fantasy world and get back to reality, so we can start fixing these problems.
Well said. Well said. I think that if we go back to original documents and books and actually put the time into it to educate ourselves, that's probably one of the most important steps at this point of the game.
Like you said, everything in our history is questionable. This has been a struggle for me, and I'm sure it is for other people too. So I'm going to bring that up. This is part of the frustration and the emotional upheaval that our country is experiencing, because when suddenly, Donna was one that she, for example, knew that 911 was false. That whole story about 9/11, that was false. She knew the day of. I did not. It was years later that I started hearing more about why it was easy for people like Donna to see that it was not true. We were being sold a lot of lies, and it was actually our own country, people from our own country, or who claimed they're from our own country, who were our own government, our de facto corporate government that was responsible for killing so many people and destroying all this property and creating a war. That is a really good example of how challenging and emotional issue can be. You've got a lot of people who joined the military because of what happened on that day and the lies that they were sold. And they went over and they were killing other people because of that. And how are those people going to handle it? And their families who sacrificed with them. Well, even now, for example, I joined the assembly. I learned a lot in the assembly. I later realized that some of the things that I learned there were not correct. And even recently at Donna's, I found out that one of the things I based a lot of arguments over was supposedly incorrect. I gotta research that now. That was not fun for me to hear. I accepted it because I've been through this a few times now, so we've joked about questioning whether the earth is flat and birds are real and are nuclear weapons real at all? I mean, you start to question everything that you've been taught all your life from the indoctrination camps that we call public schools. Those were set up by people who wanted us to learn lies, who did not want us to learn critical thinking skills and so on. So we have to question everything that we thought we knew about our country's history, like the Civil War. It changes things. It changes how you feel about things. And that is a problem for us because we have to one at a time think about all of these stories and go, oh, my feelings are changing. I have to accept it. I have to recognize what it is because it's causing stress and let it go. And so when I'm watching the news, like the other day, I told Donna about something I was watching on the news, a story about the $20 million grant suddenly showed up on the evening news. Why is the question? Well, you've got a governor candidate involved in it. And he's just inserting himself into the story. Well, later on, he's going to look like the good guy because he's fighting these Democrats, and he's a Democrat. Well, I'm trying to do the right thing is the story that I pull out of it. It might not be the only story. Well, why is it on the news today when it wasn't for the past weeks?
I want to talk to a really good point. And I want to talk to, too, the fact that most of our, we're on the subject of Epstein everywhere, right? So when you look at the connected people, Robert Maxwell was the one who was behind McGraw-Hill, Pergamon Press. All of our textbook manufacturers or publishers were tied to Robert Maxwell. Therefore, all of the propaganda, everything they're teaching in the schools had its roots in the globalist Marxist agenda. So they could slowly change that over time. And I remember when I first got into really researching heavily on these subjects, one of the people that floated to the top said, if you really want to see real history, go back and pick up a textbook from, say, 25 years ago. Well, the reality is you got to go back farther than that. Yeah. But that's a good start. I'm going to shut my camera off a minute, talk amongst yourselves, because I want to show you a really cool book I just bought.
Well, there's another distortion of history, too, that I've actually had several discussions over the last couple of weeks with people on because people don't realize this. But did you know that we had carbon neutral transportation back in the 1800s, really even back in the late 1700s, mechanical, not just horses. I mean, horses we've had for a long time, but we've had mechanical carbon neutral vehicles and transportation since then, in the form of wood-fired steam trains, and then in the form of the early steam-powered cars, which could run on, well, darn near anything that burns. So if you've got a vegetable oil or whatever, and then you've got the early internal combustion cars like the Model T can run on alcohol. All of those things can be made from carbon capturing sources, or have to be made from carbon capturing sources like trees in the case of wood-fired steam. And you're sucking up carbon from the air, you're putting it into wood, you're burning the carbon. It's a closed cycle, and so it's completely carbon neutral by their own definitions. So the steam trains belching black smoke, burning up forests in the 1800s were the goal of what they're now trying to do by their own definitions. But it wasn't pretty, and they can't make money off of it. We had electric cars back in the early 1900s. There were huge fleets of electric cars, and some of them have still been preserved. Jay Leno's got an excellent example in his collection. And I mean, I think New York had several thousand of them. And people don't realize that, oh, no, electric cars aren't even a new thing. And there's all this technology that, well, people don't even know that it existed. So now it has to be reinvented, and they can get a whole bunch of money off of people by trying to portray it as something new. And on the subject of steam cars, by the way, the Gilmore Car Museum this weekend has a big steam car meet going on. So if you want to see them, that's going to be cool.
Big fun. Well, I want to show you something. I'll see if this works here. Oh, new tools here. So here it is. The history of the United States. This thing is from, and if I can open up, I'm not sure you can see it, but it's signed here. It's from 1888, and it was from Indiana, Bainbridge, Indiana. And the person's name was Bracker, and it gives the birth date and such. And there's some sort of weird Morse code in sort of the beginning of it that I haven't gotten into yet. But it is, I think that, like, when you read stuff like this, there's timelines and such, that you have to remember that they spoke a different language too than what we speak today. So when you look at historical books, don't toss the baby out with the bathwater. You have to be able to use a little discernment, like we do with everything, and realize that they literally spoke a different language. They had different ways of looking at the world. And I think it's very important, even though there may be some things in there that we don't quite understand, to ponder it and let it matriculate a little bit, so that it has time to be pondered and thoughtfully considered. So, but I thought that was kind of a cool find.
Have you read it yet?
I started looking through it, and enough to know and see some significant changes. It starts out with the Spanish discoveries in America, and it goes into, the Native American culture, the attempts of the Spaniards to colonize Florida and such, that sort of thing. So yeah, I've kind of whipped through it a little bit. There's actually like check this out. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to switch back over, but it's kind of fun to look at here. Hang on. Oh, a new tool. I haven't used this one before. If you can see it, there's writing. Let's see. There's writing in the margins, like here. So this was literally somebody's textbook in elementary. It looks like it was considered an elementary school textbook. So I want to get in and kind of go through it a little bit more to really see what age this was considered for, because right now most of our textbooks that are out there are geared that even are in high school. I think they're considered below. Somebody's got some feedback there. I think if they're considered below, say, like 7th grade. So, you know, they've definitely tried through the textbooks and through what they're teaching to dumb everybody down and teach to the lowest denominator rather than you know, the gifted and talented type stuff should be in there too, as well as the trade schools. I'm completely convinced that everyone should come out of school with an education to have a skill that they can provide for themselves. If they want to go on and do other types of training, like being a doctor and such, I get it. But if you have a trade behind you that you can do as a fallback, just so you have multiple ways to make a living for yourself and take care of your family, or things you're just interested in, you know, what would be different if we all could do our own mechanicking on our cars, since it's hard to find a good mechanic.
No, I agree with that. And also military. I mean, you should be required after high school either to go into the military, learn a skill, or go to someplace else where you get some kind of skill. Because just a high school graduate degree these days, I mean, if you see some of these interviews on YouTube and where they just ask random 20-year-olds basic questions they don't know the answers to. I mean, it's scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, they think,
and how do they get a job? What do they do? And the ones that do get a job as, you know, entry level jobs, they're just so bad at it, and they just get away with anything. It's criminal.
Yeah, there was another news story on yesterday. I always go news stories, and I do watch. Usually, I'm watching for the weather, but these girls were going to a regional sports conference, and they're so excited about it, and so they interview these girls, and they can't even speak a couple of complete sentences in proper English, you know. And I'm like, they're so excited about all the time and effort they've put into softball, when really where they should be putting their time and effort in is the scholastics and learning how to speak properly. But they just don't. That's the culture that they've brought into our society. I was a Toastmaster too, so I hear things from a Toastmaster's perspective. So, like I posted about the other day, I had 3 people in 1 week wish me, which is fine. I mean, it's nice, but they all said, "Have a great rest of your day." And it really piqued my ear, because I'm like, that's not a noun. That's a phrase. It's a prepositional phrase. It's an adjective on an adjective on a noun. And like, I'm not sure if I've got this right. I posted and nobody answered me because I said, I'm not sure about the proper English structure here, but I'm proposing that this doesn't sound right to my ear. It's not proper English, but people are more consistently saying it lately, because I mentioned it to my husband and he said, yeah, I hear that all the time. Have a great rest of your day. Rest of your day is not a proper way to put it, but you know, it happened.
Let's go back to off the grid. So, you know, if we ever get in a situation where we have to, where things are melting down, you better have some skills or know a farmer to be able to provide for yourself, such as, you know, people like everybody on here right now. I mean, we all grow or raise animals and that sort of thing, because as we found out in the great toilet paper scare that went on, which was really ridiculous, things can be interrupted. And what happens if we have an interruption, and how do we deal with things off the grid? I'm going to let you chime into this one, David, because I think that it would be wonderful to have your perspective as a doctor again. I mean, we've all gone over this, and I'm going to start a project here that actually outlines some rudimentary skills of survival, as well as simple things that are skills based. Oh, I want to show you this. Okay, thank you, Ralph. Here, we're going to throw this up, but go ahead and chime in anytime you want, guys. Internet Archive, the Compendious Dictionary of the English Language. Noah Webster. I'll post this in my Telegram channel so that you can see this.
And download it. And yeah, a lot of people think that Webster's 1828 dictionary was his first. It was not. The 1806 one actually has a lot of similarities to the 1828 one. The 1828 one included more etymologies for words, although a lot of them ended up being kind of not 100% accurate. So this one is more just it's a dictionary, but it's a very early one. And this was one of the first dictionaries of American English as opposed to British English.
Cool.
And yeah, downloadable because it is public domain.
Internet Archive is amazing.
And yeah, a lot of that too. A lot of old books you can download. You can download scans from the Internet Archive. You can download ebooks, ebook versions of them from Project Gutenberg, and in a lot of cases, you can download audiobooks for free, which are also public domain at LibriVox. So there's all kinds of ways of archiving old books. But yeah, there's electric cars from 1899 to 1914.
And they use lead zinc batteries, correct? Or nickel iron batteries? Sorry.
I think it was a combination. Some of them I think were nickel iron. Some of them I think were, yeah, there you go.
Lead zinc batteries, and Edison designed the nickel iron batteries, which they have interesting characteristics. There's a reason to use them.
Yep, nickel iron is great as a battery chemistry. And a lot of the batteries for those still function because like nickel iron batteries are, pretty well indestructible, made from fairly common materials.
Well, most of our society is based on disposable things. We just use them, throw them away instead of building them for the long haul. They build in planned obsolescence to almost everything. You can't, and tie it into the computer, which brings me back to usually what Vicki Davis and I talk about, the corporatocracy that's ruling the world. The only way they survive is if they keep the money flow from us going to them. So
that's my biggest objection with with modern electric cars is not the electric part of it; it's the batteries, because they're not sustainable. It ties you into a supply chain to be able to keep that car running, because those batteries have basically an end date at which you will not be able to use your car. And if like these ones, the Baker Electrics, you can still run those things on the original batteries in a lot of cases, and they're over 100 years old.
No, there's green energy for you. I mean, if you want to continue to go after this lithium, which is strip mining and just tremendous waste, there is tremendous waste in mining lithium.
That's a great way to go with those because, electric isn't bad. You can generate electric from all kinds of different sources. You got a creek on your property, you've got enough hydro to be able to do small things. You can you can build your own wind turbine out of a car alternator if you wanted to. There's all different ways of generating electricity yourself to be able to recharge stuff like that. If you don't have a car that's basically actively disintegrating on you, even when it sits there.
I want to go back to the concept of the youth and the survivor. There was a show recently. It's called Duck Dynasty. It's got a family called the Robertsons. They are from the South. Their father was a forest guy, so he was into hunting ducks and everything else under the sun. He knew how to survive because they were poor, and he raised his children to know how to do those things. Well, now you're on another generation. These kids are what they call yuppies because they have a dynasty of businesses now. It's not just that they make duck calls, they make a lot of other things. And so the second generation man, who is I think he's the CEO of the business, decided he's going to put some of these young people through the ringer and test them like the show Alone, except he doesn't do it quite like the show Alone. In the show Alone, you have competitors who are dropped into the wilderness, and they are strictly alone unless they have medical testing from time to time. And they are left with like 10 different survival items, and they have to figure out how to survive. And it usually is in a cold environment like Alaska, someplace really cold where it starts out okay and they have to build a shelter and all of that, figure out how to make food. And the one who lasts the longest wins the show. So they put 4 young women, and their husbands had to watch the children. That was their task, and they didn't do too well either because they couldn't call on their grandmothers for assistance. So they put these women out with backpacks full of really good tools that they didn't know how to use. And they had 4 things they had to do. They had to make a shelter, find food, and I don't remember a couple other things. And Willie couldn't help it. He had to come along and check on them and show them how to do things. And in one day, they couldn't even get through one day. Well, the pregnant one smelled the burgers he was cooking nearby, and she took off. And then 2 others joined up, and they smelled the burgers, and they started heading that way. And the one who didn't have a shelter couldn't make it eat her food because she did catch a fish. Did make a fire successfully. That was one thing. She finally realized that they had all given up. So they didn't make it through a single night. And he said he was so proud of them for what they did accomplish. And I'm going, are you kidding me? Like, I could at least make it through one night because I've had training for this.
Well,
I've had extensive training for this.
You have to practice. And the training makes a difference. So I'm going to give a nod to Shawn here. This is one of Shawn's books. This is another one of Shawn's books that he's written. Our special ops guy here. Let's see. Ta-da. Ultimate Home Security and the Survivor's Bible. You want to talk about this a little bit, Shawn, the Survivor's Bible?
Yeah. So the Survivor's Bible is it's a multiple factor thing. So we get into wanting to make good decisions. I'll give you a good example. So like we see out in the state of Washington, there's a mountain out there, Mount St. Helens, I think it is. Or no, I'm sorry, Mount Rainier. So Mount Rainier is right now is very active, and they've got these little sirens that are posted all over the around the mountain. And so one of the things is that if you don't have a plan to bug out from an area like this, for example, that mountain blows, then there's going to be, like, within the vicinity, there's going to be a fallout, right? And people, because we're so hooked on convenience for a lot of stuff, people don't take the time to go and it's just doing their basic research, like, okay, when is a good time to bug out, and research your area for now. Number one, if you live in an area where you got a mountain that's kind of active half of the time, then you should know, okay, well, I need a bug out bag and I need a secondary location. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be property that you bought. And you have to look at things realistically, like how long does it take for me to get from point A to point B? And if this is the only major highway to get there, well, you don't want to be that guy or that gal that's trying to grab whatever you think you might need. You're going to waste a half an hour of your time. And then by the time you get in your car, you're going to be stuck in this traffic jam for hours just trying to get out of there. And you could potentially end up becoming a victim in the situation. So in the book, it really gets into the details about understanding bugging in and bugging out. They literally go hand in hand. So the point of bugging in is, so bugging in would be a situation where, let's say there's an economic collapse, right? So you're going to be bugging in. You're not going to be, bugging out because of that. But, you're going to be learning how to put up a greenhouse, how to grow your own food, get rid of the idea of convenience, switch to glass bottles, learn how to, maybe have equipment on hand. Like, you can get a well point. It's like they call it a sand well point. What it is just a metal device that's kind of sloped, and you attach it to a pipe, a galvanized pipe, and then you drive it into the ground, and you go down to a certain length. That's where your water main is going to be, and you can tap into that. You can pump that water out by hand, or if you're lucky enough, you have a generator, you can actually hook up a 1 or 2 horsepower water pump to it, and you can actually pump that water right into your house. But the thing is that a lot of people just take a lot of things for granted, and so the book is really about not only the awareness, but it's the education behind it. Part of my experience being in the military has taught me is this: always have not just a backup plan, but have plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D. Because plan A oftentimes is going to fail. Plan B, if that fails, you need to have a plan C and a plan D. Because if you don't have a plan for these contingency plans, then you're going to end up in a very bad position. And you can very well end up getting taken advantage of, right? So like one of the things we learn about bugging out is really simple. So if you are going to be planning on bugging out somewhere, like say a family or friend, you can take, like I know my wife would be like this, but first thing she would grab is all the photo albums, right? So we make duplicates of everything. We make digital duplicates. We make other, duplicates what we can, and we take it to the secondary locations. So one of the things I started investing in over 20 years ago was buying little pieces of property, just, less than an acre. That's all we need. Is in places that are very remote, but it's within a day's driving distance. So if we need to bug out, we can. We'll already have everything there. I've got tools there. I've got stockpiles of gasoline, food. I've got, some personal effects and things like this. So I have duplicates, but what I do is I store them in a plastic drum, and I buried it into the ground on the property. So if we get there, I've got extra ammunition, I've got extra gasoline, I've got food, water. There's water source nearby. So if we need something, we have something. But then what you're going to get into is, and the issue is this: a lot of people think, well, there's been that big craze about, a lot of these so-called writers publishing books on bugging out. And I bought about 127 of them, and I've gone through them, each and every one of them. I said, they're all wrong. They're all dangerous because they're trying, their whole gimmick is getting you to focus on buying all these things that you don't need, right? So when you're actually bugging out, you're going to go with very minimal or almost nothing, because you want to get from point A to point B as quickly as possible. You can pick up resources along the way if you need to, but the main, I say the 3 tiers that I would do if I needed to bug out is I'm going to have a bug out bag. It's just big enough that I could just, strap it on. It's not going to weigh more than 5 pounds. I'm going to have my gun. I'm going to have my ammunition with me. It's just, stuff is already, by the front doors, in the closet. All I got to do is grab it, go. I get into the car. I get to my location within an hour or 2 hours of driving. I don't have to worry about anything once I get there. Now, once I get there, then I'm going to focus on is setting up my security, because if I don't have 4 walls, for example, then I got to put up a defense perimeter, right? So 80% of the time, this is a military statistic they have done. 80% of the time of whatever type of natural or man-made disasters, and oftentimes they go hand in hand, you're going to be staying home. You're going to be bugging in. And the reason being is because you and your neighbors are going to be contingent upon each other for that layer of security. So and this is reality, your first layer of security is always going to be your neighbors. So if and I know in this society today, a lot of people just don't really talk to each other anymore, especially when 2020 came. But that's why it's a really great idea to get to know who your neighbors are, so ahead of time who I can trust and who I can't trust. But at the same time, where your area better than anybody else because you live there, right? So you can form a defensive perimeter, not just around your house, but around your entire neighborhood with the help of your neighbors. And this is how societies survive. And we've had a lot of misinformation been going on for the last 20 years about, if something happens, just bug out. No, if you just bug out, the chances are you're going to be, well, number one, you don't have the safety of the 4 walls. Number 2, you don't have tactical advantage. You can take the most hardened, badass special forces guys and put them on the road, and they'll tell you it's a no-brainer situation. You don't have the tactical advantage. You don't have the high ground. You're mixed in a crowd of thousands of people. What happens if you're stuck in the middle of it and there's a car accident because somebody panics, which often happens when you take a look at the natural disasters, where people are trying to get out and the person's in the front tends to panic and they crash into somebody else. Well, now they got that road completely tied up. Now, here's the reality of things. First responders, they're going to grab their families and they're going to leave if they feel that this has become a very dangerous situation, or they're going to bug in. They're not going to be out there doing the 911 stuff if they feel like their families are going to be impacted. Okay. So like we saw in New Orleans, here's a good example. So in New Orleans, when they had the flood down there, all of the first responders, they left. They just left the city. There was nobody there to help them, right? So a lot of the folks that were stranded there, they decided to bug in. And what they did when they bugged in is they trusted nobody outside of their 4 doors. And why? Because there were bad elements like gang members that were going to first responder stations, grabbing the uniforms, grabbing the cars, grabbing the guns or whatever, and trying to pose as first responders. And what they would do is they would rob these houses. On top of this, we have the issue with the government. So we know from New Orleans that when after the hurricane ended and the city got flooded, the government blocked the roads. They would not allow other good folks from other states to come in and try to rescue them. So a lot of people went to the stadiums because their houses were underwater. So the people that lived towards the edge of the city, well, when they opened up the roads, the first thing that happened was the chief of police and the Louisiana National Guard went in and started confiscating guns from law-abiding citizens. And they took their guns at gunpoint. So, the government is never the solution. The solutions is always going to be the people that surround you. When people work together, their survival chances go up. When people start just kind of depend on the government for, FEMA to come in and do the rescue, chances are it's going to be weeks, if not months out. So the book is really designed to help people make really good choices, but it also talks about prepping. It talks about, like the different types of gardening. It talks about foraging for, food that's out in the wild. So it literally is packed with everything that I think that anybody would really need for survival. But it's just kind of like an overall references to, here's some pictures, here's some images, here's some things that you can do. But my wife and I, we went through a horrible tragedy where we've had a major flood, and we literally had 19 feet of standing water, and our first floor was underwater. So when the flood was gone, here's what happened. So the city would not allow us to get a permit for more than $100, which means we couldn't hire an electrician to come in, put a new breaker box or anything in. The power company came in and actually cut the wires to our house. We had no assistance from anybody. Nobody came to help us. Nobody. I mean, I realized this after about the first 2 weeks, right? No one was coming. So I took it upon myself to start, taking the money we had in our savings and try to figure out how can we get, get some heating back in our house, cooling in our house in the summertime. How can we cook food? The gas was shut off. There was no electricity. And so I started doing some hard research online, and I found a whole bunch of different things. And I was looking for stuff that actually does work. And I spent about $19,000, but I started buying all this stuff. I never knew how to do any of this stuff before until I started doing it myself. And then here's what I found. All of the stuff that I put into the book about how you can get, how you can cool your house down, right? Where you lay a copper line outside of your house. So it goes out into the back of your house and then it comes back in. So you have an entry point on both sides, and then you can feed forced air through that copper line. And so understand the air temperature and the ground temperature, anything below about 10 feet is going to be a very stark contrast difference. So if it's, say, negative 15 degrees outside, it's freezing cold. Well, below 10 feet of the ground, you're going to have about 60-degree temperatures, about 60 to 70 degrees. So we would blow air through that. And then on the other side, we just hooked that right up to our vent system, and we were able to get some warm air back into our house. But, again, this was from my personal experience, from being in the military, my personal experience, having going through a survivor flood, and then the aftermath of that flood, when the government's not going to come in and not help us. We had to literally turn our house into an off-grid situation. And when we were successful in doing this, I was able to turn around and help my neighbors. And then I gave them a material list. I said, this is what you need to get. And people were running out and getting these things. And then I would go to their house and show them how to do it. And then they became successful. And then they would tell their neighbors to share that information with their neighbors and so on. So when we work together on something like this, then everybody becomes successful. And we created a much more cohesive neighborhood. But understand, before all this, I worked as an armed security officer for state and federal government. And so, yes, I wore, the vest, I wore the badge, I carried the gun, I did all that. And all of my neighbors were predominantly African Americans, right? And they just hated me with a vitriol because they see me as a cop. So when the flood situation happened, it presented a situation. And this is how I was able to make a lot of great friends, but show them how to do things that I learned from doing it myself. And so I have to be the kind of person who is a man of action rather than a man of words. And so I put everything together in the book. Same thing with the other book. It tells you the truth about how to do home security. It's not just your cameras. It's setting up a behavioral modification plan. What it is prevention, deterring, and defense. These are the same three basic methods that police officers, security officers, even the military uses when protecting, their base or protecting their home or protecting a government building. And the goal overall is preventing your home from becoming a target, because there's a lot of bad guys out there that have certain things that they look for. And so the book is really designed to turn the reader into a security expert themselves, so they can look at their house from their perspective of a criminal and go, okay, I need to change a few things, or maybe I need to get my doors fixed or my windows fixed, or to make it more secure. Maybe I need to put cameras up because I have a tactical vantage point. If I can be able to see from the inside of my house who is on the outside of my house, right? And I have a few recommendations in there for what equipments to get that does work, because these are the same stuff that I use, but even the government offices use as well. So that's kind of what the book is about. I kind of hope that explains everything.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. And I mean, certainly we should be, finding good sources like your books. I mean, clearly I bought them, and keep those so that even if the internet goes down, that you're in a better shape. You take your advantage, or you make your advantage now in the preparation. I'm going to show you a video that Dr. David put up here. Let's see what this now. This is YouTube, so I can't keep it running. But let's just watch this. This should be interesting. I really actually like this guy a lot.
It's over $2,000. If I were to ask you to take one of these, a free Hershey bar or the silver bar, which one would you rather have?
Hershey bar.
Oh, Hershey bar. Go ahead. It's free. Trick or treat. Happy Halloween.
What? I feel like this is. What are you doing?
Well, we just offered people a free Hershey bar or free silver bar.
I was always told not to take candy from strangers.
Oh, well, I'm Mark. I'm not really a stranger.
Oh,
but...
okay.
Okay. You can take the silver bar.
Nah.
No?
It looks really heavy.
It is. It's 7 pounds. 100 troy ounces of silver. But you don't want either one?
Probably not.
No. Okay. Well, happy Halloween to me. Trick or treat. Want a free Hershey bar, or would you rather have a free silver bar?
Hershey.
Hershey. Okay. Straight
Wow.
on. Happy Halloween. For that pizza?
A silver bar for one slice of pizza.
For the whole pizza?
It's one slice.
Oh, it's only one slice?
I got one.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
Never mind.
One slice.
No.
One slice and a garlic knot.
Oh, no.
It looks pretty good, though.
Okay, got a break here for a minute because otherwise I'll get a YouTube strike or something like that. But can you even imagine what these people have no idea what he was offering them? And that's really sad when you don't know the real value of things. Let's continue on with this.
They didn't even ask him though either.
Yeah, this is pathetic, really, but funny and pathetic.
Oh, that's a big slice.
It is a big slice, but it is only one.
Would you like to trade the silver bar for the sliced pizza?
I think I'm okay.
You don't know?
I'm pretty hungry.
Oh, you are. You don't want it?
Thanks.
Candy bar instead?
What are you gonna do with the silver bar?
What are you gonna do with the silver bar? There's a coin shop over here.
Melt it down and make some jewelry.
Well, you could sell it to this coin shop over here if you wanted to. Or you could eat the candy bar, I suppose.
No, I don't need that. Sure.
You don't need that?
Yeah.
Watching your diet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't want the silver bar?
Thanks.
No, thanks.
Are you like what do I have to do?
You just take whatever one you want. Trick or treat. Want a free Hershey bar?
No, thank you.
Free silver bar instead? It's a 100-ounce silver bar. Just take it. So you don't want either one?
Nah, I'm alright.
No.
I appreciate it.
You don't maybe have somebody that you would want to give it to instead?
I don't know anybody that likes dark chocolate.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. They're not fans, you know.
Not fans of dark chocolate? No. You know anybody who's a fan of silver bars?
I don't. I've never even seen someone with a silver bar. But
You don't want it either?
why do you?
Oh my gosh.
Well, you'll think about it deeply and you'll figure it out.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
Think deeply. Thinking deeply will solve this problem.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So if Mark Dice comes up to you on the street, realize it's probably you're going to get your behind handed to
It's
you.
a trap.
It's a trap. Here's another one. This is another link that Ralph put up. Talk about this, Ralph, because this is really interesting as we talk about off the grid and how to save resources offline.
Yeah, so we've talked about Kiwix before for being able to download like an entire copy of Wikipedia, as well as like every public domain book that's been digitized and all kinds of other resources to be able to save them offline. If you have not set that up on your computer and tried it out yet, you should do that. However, there are also there's this organization that does internet in a box, and the idea behind this is for places that don't necessarily have internet to be able to download stuff ahead of time, like people listening today, I'm sure do. The idea here is, well, you just load it up onto basically a little brick, bring it out to some place that doesn't have internet and will not have internet for a long time. And their particular use case here is largely sub-Saharan Africa. And then it acts as a Wi-Fi access point that you can connect to from other devices and be able to access all of that information that you've downloaded. So it's really kind of a very similar use case to a grid out situation by basically just going to where there's no grid. And you can buy these internet in a box boxes. There's another link that I posted there for the Wikimedia Foundation store, where they sell these internet in a box devices preloaded with Kiwix and copies of Wikipedia, some other resources like I think MD Wiki for medical information, maps of the entire Earth.
Not the flat Earth.
Both the flat and the round Earth.
But does that need a computer to hook to a computer?
Computer or a phone or pretty much anything with Wi-Fi. It's basically just a powered brick that acts as a server. But those things are like the internet in the boxes are like I think they sell for like $58.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to take the time to do this on your own computer now, if you don't want to prepare and instead you just want to spend money to have a backup plan, this is a pretty easy option.
Where do you find that link to buy the internet in the box?
It's in the chat there, the store.wikimedia.org.
Let me look a minute. Aha, there it is. Everybody's tired today. I can tell it by how you guys are talking.
Oh.
Long week.
I'm juggling a bunch of things.
Yeah, so they are they listed as sold out, but if you scroll down to just underneath that, you can buy it not straight from the Wikimedia Foundation, but that highlighted yellow there. You can buy it from their partner organization, WikiMed. And yeah, there you go. $5 in shipping, $63, and you can have an offline copy of Wikipedia. Or you can do it
like the Kiwix option better because you can get other channels and other sites.
Well, and see, that's what this is it's Kiwix running on a Raspberry Pi.
Can you load other stuff on it, or is it?
Yes, you can.
Oh, so you can go ahead and
Yep.
customize this once you get it
Yep.
by downloading things from Kiwix.
Yep. So this is just if you don't want to fiddle with it your own self, you could buy this and you could load stuff up to on it and customize it now, or you could do it for free if you want to take a little bit of time and do it yourself. Kiwix is pretty darn easy to set up, and there are so many resources that you can download with that to be able to preserve them.
Well, my parents bought a set of encyclopedias in about 1983. I think we're set.
Yeah.
No, I don't know
So-
who's got that set of encyclopedias now. I haven't seen them in a long time.
So Shawn, you posted WikiHow in the chat there. WikiHow is they've got an entire copy of WikiHow that you can download for Kiwix and
Yeah,
have
so-
that entire site offline.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. And this was one of the resources that I was able to find on basically trying to convert my house into an off-grid house after the flood. I was able to find some resources on there. Now, what I like about WikiHow is this. So they have scientists and experts who have gone out and actually fielded all these different methods and different things. And so these are things that, the experts that in their field, and they know how to do these things. And so they incorporated these different things in there. So you're getting real-time information as far as, if you wanted to know how to build a teepee, or if you wanted to figure out how to source water, or if you needed to, you want to find vegetation for pain management or something. So WikiHow is almost like I would say a universal library, but it has pictures on there, and those pictures will give you a clear, very good graphic description of how to do something. It's not in a video format, but it comes pretty close in my book to being a reliable source of information.
Curtis just said, I didn't know there was a Friday show. I didn't either. Last night I decided I wanted to see how the day was going to go because it was such a busy day yesterday. We were writing a response to a motion to one of my lawsuits, the one against Jocelyn Benson that we have going on right now. And we had to respond to a motion, which was very interesting. It spent the entire day, besides taking care of an injured horse, absolutely hit burnout level late last night, and then had to go to the barn. So I finally later on said, you know what, let's do this. I'm missing my buddies here, and so just decided to get on that way.
Nice. I have a quick comment on what Shawn was saying about the neighborhood and stuff. There's a psychology term, or not even, I don't even know what the term is, but, having a common enemy brings people together. And the enemy, it could be, the government or even the weather or a power outage or anything like that, where people need to come together and cooperate. So it's called a common enemy. And I was really thinking for a long time that we were going to have some sort of disaster and the power go out. But it would pull everyone together, not just your neighborhood, but just pull all the people together against the enemy of the government, I guess.
Well, that's what 9/11 did.
Yeah, exactly.
So be careful, though, because that's what I'm saying. Like in that particular case, the enemy became whoever the government wanted us to believe the enemy was.
Yeah, exactly.
But you are correct. In fact, I was telling you I watch TV. Well, I watched recently a show about this tornado that went through Joplin, Missouri years ago. And there was a number of people that ended up in a gas station for shelter. And the one man who was working at the gas station got everybody, it was like 14 people or something, into a freezer. And when it started hitting the gas station and it was very loud, tearing everything up, everybody in there, and some of them recording, started to say, I love you, I love you. And they were saying, I love you to the perfect strangers in the unit there. And they meant it because they had become a group of people together bonded by this trauma.
Yeah.
So you're right.
It's,
and
it's consumer psychology. And you're right. And I didn't think about that, but Karen, you're right. You got to be careful because all these little psychological tricks and things that they do can be used for good or bad.
Yes.
So you want to comment to this, Ralph?
Yeah, so I was just looking it up to try and find the link to where to download WikiHow for Kiwix. And apparently WikiHow requested of Kiwix that they remove WikiHow from Kiwix.
How do you find it?
What's that?
So how do you find it, or is there a way to do that?
Well, the wonderful thing is that the Internet Archive exists. And so if you take a look at the chat there, I've posted a link to where the Internet Archive has a copy of the file for Kiwix, because Kiwix, the way that things are organized in Kiwix is that each library is a single file called a ZIM file, ZIM. And so, yeah, somebody archived that.
Oh, let's see. What am I doing here?
That sounds like one of those fake genders. I identify as a them.
Yeah, really screw everybody up. You know, identify as something crazy. Like, you know, I identify as a rock. I mean, we can play that. We can play that stupid game just as much as they do.
Yeah,
it's kind of like my song I got out there. It's called "Only Two Gender Fan."
So put it in the chat and I'll play it.
Yeah, so Kiwix, as they discontinued their hosting of WikiHow, they continue to supply the tools for you to be able to build your own copy of WikiHow that you can then add to Kiwix. It's just they're not distributing their content anymore.
So it's the Kiwix that's not distributing it.
Correct. Yeah. WikiHow asked them to stop distributing it, so that's what they did. But they still give you the tools, and it's still available on the Internet Archive. So either way, everyone should have Kiwix, and everyone should be downloading a whole bunch of these libraries like Wikipedia and the MD stuff and WikiHow. Everyone should be archiving all of this stuff.
Yeah, then I think that's a good thing to have a plan to prepare. One of them is going to be compiling resources so that if things go down or if there's an interruption in anything, that you can survive it and actually thrive in it. I've always thought that there are way more opportunities when things go wrong than when things go right. You just have to look for them and say, wow, this just created an amazing opportunity, and this is what I'm going to do. Just shift a little bit. All right, let me throw your song in here, Shawn. All right. Are we listening? Where should I listen to it? Spotify? Doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, here we go. Here's Shawn's music. Oh, it's making me download this. Is there a way to do it that I don't have to download an app or something? I've had this happen before. I'm like, yeah, I don't have the app.
It was so quiet there.
I know. Everybody's like, let's try that again.
The anticipation.
Yeah, the anticipation of Shawn's music. Real news for real people by real people at the kitchen table, guys. That's the way it works. Okay, let's see. I've got okay. What's happening here? I've got two routes.
Well, you know, when you look at the link that I sent you, there's a little play button right on it. So.
Oh, okay, hang on. Let's go and see if. Oh, there you go. Okay, here we go. Fun. That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
we had a comment on BNN Live that transport is a great example of public denial. Few acknowledge how we need to simplify autos and stuff. Scrap most of the laws with them. Do we really need air conditioning? Motorcycle is best fallback for a while. And I don't know. I think that's one of the big problems that we've got with cars nowadays. Exactly that is they're overregulated. They can't innovate. They can't do stuff that's simple enough that you can actually repair it. So
Really
I would have to
sold out.
absolutely agree with that comment.
Really sold out when they started putting computers in everything. Most people that even have mechanic their whole lives, they can't even fix it because they don't have the high-end equipment to diagnose what's wrong with it.
I wish I could still get a car with a carburetor. I can rebuild a carburetor.
Mhm.
I can't completely rebuild from scratch an electronic fuel injection system.
No. And that's another thing in my book too, you know, in the Survivor's Bible, it actually shows different types of methods of transportation that you can utilize to get around if, you know, say an EMP goes off and fries all electronics. Well, there's bicycles, you know, there's skateboards, there's, you know, there's so many different ways to be able to get around.
Horses are my number one go-to. The original off-road vehicle.
Yep.
Well, and I posted a couple of videos too of how to of people that have built wood gasifiers, and that's another technology that is an older technology that people don't even realize exists to be able to run an internal combustion engine off of wood.
You should build one of those.
Well,
That'd be cool.
I would love to find one, an original one from about the 20s or 30s, because they used to make them for Model Ts and Model As.
Yeah, get on that, Ralph.
Yeah, I'd love to find one. I don't think there's a whole lot of them that have survived, but you can make them yourself and run a generator or run a the one video is a guy that made a lawnmower that runs on wood. And he just took an off-the-shelf lawnmower and built a wood gasifier on it and runs it on basically sticks.
Nice.
And that technology is old. It's well established. There was even, I think in the 70s, there was a branch of the U.S. government that did a whole bunch of experiments on it and published a report on that. I don't remember the name of the report, but it's easy enough to find. And they published pretty much plans on how to do an off-grid wood gasifier setup, and that was an official government document so that people could build these things themselves. So it's not a difficult technology. It's not an inaccessible technology. It's just one that, you know, you can't make a ton of money off of selling it because it's an old technology, so nobody promotes it anymore. But basically what you're doing is boiling the methanol out of wood and then running a gas engine off of it. And there's a lot of gas engines that can run off of that. Just about anything that's not fuel injected. If it's carbureted, you can pretty much run it off of a wood gasifier for the most part. So if you've got an old carbureted car, if you've got a carbureted lawnmower, if you've got a riding lawnmower that is carbureted, well, right there, you attach a wood gasifier to it. It may be slow, but you've got transportation.
Yep.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things that we can work on, and I think that this is a great topic to go down. David, do you have any comments about getting ready for, say, anything medical?
Sure. I got stung by a bee last week.
Oh no!
And my wrist, and no big deal. But it got red and kept growing and swelling, and I got a cellulitis from it.
Oh, really?
And that could literally kill somebody. You can die from a little thing like that. A little cut can kill people without
There
an
are people that
antibiotic.
raise those things.
You know what's interesting? I actually saw a report last night. It was on X, but scientists have come out and said that the bee's venom can cure cancer, any kind of cancer that's out there. and they published a whole report on it, and it's really interesting. It talks about how the bee's venom pokes the pores, or pokes holes into the cancer itself, and basically what it does is it prevents the cancer from being able to actually eat the sugar in the body to grow, and it does something to the cancer itself. But it was really kind of interesting. I would have never imagined a bee venom.
I think it stimulates a strong immune reaction. But cancer lives on sugar. You're right. And if you go on a keto diet or a carnivore diet, they've cured all sorts of cancers, amongst a lot of other things. I think everybody should at least do some research on a carnivore diet and what it does to your body. But back to my infection, I don't think there's anything you could have in a survival situation more important, maybe other than a gun, is some antibiotics, because little things are bound to happen to you, especially in that type of situation where you're trying to survive. And that's what used to kill people, infections. And a simple antibiotic can take care of that. So everyone should have some antibiotics. A good broad spectrum antibiotic like Augmentin or Cipro is great to have a bottle around or two.
Awesome. Well, I just got a call here, and I've got something I have to take care of. It looks like there's a situation here. So why don't we end it right now, and I'm going to move on to my day, and everybody can move on to their. So I think what we'll do is I'll do a prayer, and then after that, let's go to last words, and everybody do about 30 seconds, and then we'll go on to our days, okay? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all the wonderful people that we have met along this journey. What a gift. For Shawn, for Karen, for Ralph, for David, and everyone listening. I've seen many friends in the chat, and I'm always thankful for each and every one of them because you've given us each other as a gift. Help us keep our eyes on you. We know that there's a lot of people out there who are really depressed, demoralized. They have seen this degradation of all the things that we love, and it's just really been a long time. Well, you know what? We know that if we ask you, you're good and faithful to always give us what we need for the time, and you always equip us for whatever we're going through. So today I ask that you would give everyone the strength to walk the path that's ahead of us, whatever it may be. Thank you so much for helping us, for showing us the truth of what was going on around us. We don't want to be living in the dark here. We want to know what's going on so we can make good decisions, that we can grow in our abilities to mature, handle situations that are even harder than the ones that we can handle right now, and look at what you're building in ourselves, in our knowledge base, and our ability to have an emotional stability that is not rocked no matter what comes our way. You are our rock, our salvation, our provider, and truly to know you, to know Jesus Christ is to know the heart of God, and all the suffering, all of the sacrifices, everything that you did for all of us to not only show the way, but be the way. Thank you so much for everything. We love you so very much. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. There you go, boys and girls. So go ahead. We're going to go around Shawn, Karen, Ralph, and Dr. David.
So, I think this has been a great discussion. Again, when it comes to, to survival, it really comes down to is having enough resources at your fingertips, and just get self-motivated and learn as much as you can, different skill sets, because in the end, that's what's really going to count. If your carpentry skills or medical skills, this is where you have value in society in general. So take the time to try to learn as much, you collect as many books as you can, or like Ralph was saying, there's unlimited resources out there on the internet. Put them on flash drives or whatever, and just hold on to them, because and just take the time, if you invest an hour each day, just learn something new, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish.
All right, I guess it's my turn. I say guard your emotions. I keep talking about this because I think it's kind of important. People get really emotional about things really quickly, and they're not thinking through. Keep in mind, do we believe that what we are seeing in the de facto government is actually happening? Is it actually a long-term crew, or is it fake? If these people are not truly elected, why are you so worried about what they're doing there or what they're not doing there? I think we need to, see that there are battles going on, such as the ones that Donna is doing in the court system. As the court system is changing, Trump is working on allowing justice to happen by freeing it up. And as we start to see more and more of that, we will start to see more and more changes. I see a lot of changes happening. It takes time. I think we're starting to get impatient because we're seeing we're seeing some of the changes happening, and we want more. We really, really fast, but we have to be patient about it and realize the change happens when we get more involved. And that's really our role to play is find some way to become involved, even if it's just sharing things like this video. Share what you learn with other people and don't just keep it to yourself, because that's how we start to educate and inform and make changes. And don't get so involved in what other people are trying to manipulate you into as an emotional response. Look at it objectively. Imagine that everything is fake and then work from there. Can you verify that this video is true? Or can you verify that whoever told you or showed you the video is not someone that you can believe or trust? If you can't trust them, then why get emotional about what they're trying to show you? And that way you can guard your emotions and your stress level from that emotional roller coaster that they're trying to put us through, and rely on your faith instead.
Ralph.
I think it's important to keep in mind that now is the time to not only prepare but also practice. I've talked about people that will get a ham radio and just put it on a shelf as a if there's an emergency situation, I'll figure it out then, and how bad that can be for you won't be able to practice with it. You go get a ham license now and practice with it. Go try it out. Figure out how to use your radio, how to communicate, how to do all of that kind of stuff. If you've got a freeze dryer, go freeze dry food and then cook with it. Don't just set it on a shelf. Learn how to cook with it. And a lot of cases, I actually like cooking with freeze-dried food better than the food that it was freeze-dried from. You'll discover how to do that sort of thing, and now is the time to prepare and practice while you have the resources to be able to figure out how to do that. Download Kiwix, download some content, and then start looking stuff up using that Kiwix install when you're curious about something, so that you're not just continually relying on Google. Download an AI model if you can and run that offline and start figuring out how to use that. Turn off your electricity periodically. Years ago, I used to coordinate with my family, and one night a year we would turn off the power for a while, and it was actually a very relaxing experience to just kind of disconnect from everything. So the practice is a huge thing as well.
Wow, all great advice. Definitely. Good stuff. I think everybody should be prepared. And this is the show to, in previous shows, to learn all you can about being prepared. But the bottom line is have faith in God, because God is probably speaking through Donald Trump and whoever the team is that's put him there and is running whatever's going on. So listen to your president and enjoy the summer.
I think that's really good advice. Stay stable in all situations and be at peace, because we do know that we're walking through this this life not alone, but with friends, and more importantly with God. And I'm pretty sure that the good guys have got a pretty good handle on things and are working through the issues right now in ways that we can't see, which is a good thing. So just have a little faith. We know that we're together. Quite honestly, I know a lot of really good people, so my hope is not all gone. When we put ourselves together as friends, family, and patriots, it's going to be okay. So with that said, guys, let's see. I got to get the right hand here. I always start with the wrong one. Okay, there you go. This is my 2022 protest. Go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com because I'm the best non-conceder who has ever not conceded in the history of the United States of America. And I'm going to want to have a discussion with the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, in cowboy boots. We'll see who wears it better. It'll be me because I wear them every day. And then we'll talk about real stuff. So anyhow, have a great day. And I've been focusing a lot on spiritual encouragement in all of my posts on, say, Telegram, X, etc. So if there's anything you want me to write about or you want subjects that are brought forward, just let us know. And we're going to I'll try to find somebody or address those situations and really try to incorporate all of our audience into this too. I think it could be great fun. But at the end of the day, we have to learn to work together, get over our differences, be able to identify the real threats, not the fake ones, and just kind of cruise through life unmovable, knowing we'll handle whatever comes our way. It's going to be okay. So with that said, God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love. And God bless America. Make it a great day. Go out with a smile on your face. Don't take life too seriously, but yet take your responsibility seriously. So it's a balance. And God will show you. Thanks for being here, everybody. And this was fun talking to everybody. I gotta go out and take your responsibility for some stuff and handle things. It'll be a good day. And have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning.
Bye.
Bye.